Do you think it's time we had a crucifixion?
It's been time, John. It's been rambling. Let's move on.
We're going to, I was going to say enjoy a crucifixion, but what we're going to do is understand about the crucifixion, the truth
That's
behind it.
funny.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Well, I mean,
Sorry,
enjoy the
Yeshua.
crucifixion. Yes, because it put us, I guess it helped us if we look at it from that perspective. That was quite funny, though.
Sorry, Yeshua. Didn't mean it that way. But here we go. We're going into the story about the crucifixion now, and this enables you to see the whole thing in a different light. So bear with me a second. We're going to switch screens, and off we go.
We had been moving steadily through Daniel's story and wondering when he would come to the events surrounding the crucifixion. He said he would be in his community near Hebron at this time, and we were curious to see what sort of impact it would have on him. We rejoined Daniel as the drama was moving toward its climax.
We're meditating, bringing the power up, and Jesus is going through his process. We have a way of watching him without being there. It's called a clear-seeing chamber. Those with the inner sight can go into these chambers, and the clarity of their vision is strengthened through the use of crystals. There are 5 of us in this chamber. We're meditating, focusing power, and observing Jesus. The process is going through, and it's getting heavy because there is quite a struggle going on. We are aware at this point of those who do not wish this project to succeed. They are trying to block the flow of energy so that the power cannot get through from the communities. And because of this, it's becoming more difficult for us. Although we saw the plan clearly, we didn't see the strength of those who oppose us. They haven't succeeded yet, but it has diverted some power to hold them off. The silent one is in the cave, focusing much of this effort, but he's having a struggle. It's getting very dark. Jesus is on the cross and going through his process. It does pass through my mind as I'm watching that maybe this attempt will fail. Those opposing it may overwhelm us, and he may die before he completes the process, before the energies are resolved. He is gathering up and anchoring the energies. He is a great focus for energies, and if he cannot complete the cycle, which the energies must go through, then the whole project will fail. Time is doing very strange things. This whole process is not taking much earth time, but because it's such a struggle, it seems to be stretching out into eternity. I think we're starting to lose this battle. We've sent a mental signal to the core group that we've got to have more power. We're just holding it together, and the meditators are getting exhausted. It's draining them. We can't keep this going for much longer.
Here Daniel's voice went down almost to a whisper.
We've got to have more power. The core group have sent out a request for help to the angelic realm. I think to Archangel Michael. I don't know how long he can hold this group together. Some individuals are beginning to crack up with the intense concentration. It really is a battle. The help has come. It's going to be all right. Jesus has managed to complete the energy cycle. It's all done. A great relief to us. He's being taken down from the cross now, and we are leaving the clear-seeing chamber. We had strict orders from the core group to stop watching when Jesus was taken down from the cross. Our part in the process is over, and we must report back to the rest of the community who are meditating in another building. They will be relieved to know that the work with the energies was successfully completed.
Daniel sighed deeply, and I could feel his tension easing.
It was a close thing. The whole plan could easily have gone down. It was Archangel Michael who saved the day. Without his help, who knows what might have happened?
I know you had to report to your community, but afterwards, did you use your inner vision to see what was happening to Jesus?
No, it was forbidden. The core group strictly forbade it. Our part was done. We had to continue with our lives and make no further inquiries about Jesus.
That seems hard.
It was hard. He was like a brother to us, an elder brother who had traveled farther than we along the path. We listened to his wisdom and tried to live his teachings, but now our ways are parting.
At this point, Daniel sighed again. I realized that it must have been a period of great strain for the whole Essene Brotherhood, and asked Daniel to comment on this.
Many of our people gave all they had to give in supporting this process. It wasn't only Jesus who made a sacrifice. 2 people died in the communities, and some were very ill for years afterwards, reduced to a shell of what they had been. It was such a battle.
This was certainly a surprise to us, that others had paid with their lives and their health at that time. It underlined how much of a team effort the whole thing had been. By now we were beginning to see the events around the crucifixion in quite a new way. The drama was there, certainly, but it was a shared drama, and many had played a part in it. Paradoxically, this does not diminish the achievement of Jesus. That he should have succeeded against formidable opposition remains a remarkable accomplishment. I was also able to witness Joseph's perspective on the crucifixion in a separate session with him. It is impossible to convey the depth of emotion felt by Joseph, but I give here an excerpt from that session.
Mary is here beside me, and I have my arm around her. Many years ago, I was asked to support my little sister. I did not understand what that would mean then, but now I know. Mary needs someone to support and understand and protect her, and who better than her brother? It is very hard today, seeing Jesus on the cross. We had prepared for this. We knew much of it in advance. But however much you know, nothing prepares you for the reality of it. He was like a son to me. I find it hard to talk of these things.
During a later session, Joseph and Daniel were in dialogue together and were talking of the events following the crucifixion.
Joseph said, I did not see you again, my old friend, to tell you of these things. Events moved very quickly then, and I had to leave in haste. I had to leave Mary, and this created a great sadness in my heart. But it had to be thus. We had done our work in that place, and there were many partings.
Luke and Roberta had also been present during the crucifixion. In describing this, Roberta said, "We both helped to hold the love energy at that time. Neither of us could afford to get emotional, or we could not have held the energy, and that would have made Jesus' work harder." So all the Essenes in our story were helping at this time, but in different ways. Daniel was focusing the energy in his community. Luke and Roberta were holding the love energy on the hill, and Joseph was comforting and supporting Mary. Once again, the impression is of a team effort. We have seen the work of some members of the team, but there were many more, and some had been working for generations to prepare for this time.
Now, I really honestly find this so fascinating. Now, I wanted to just bring you back to the words of Alariel, and I'm going to read this out, all about the technology of light. Jeshua anchored this energy in collaboration with Mary Magdalene, and through the initiatory process of the crucifixion. That process brought a great vertical shaft of this energy down into the earth, completing the anchoring and stabilizing this energy into the matrix of this planet. Once that had been done, this energy became accessible to anyone who was open to a process of transformation focused through the heart center. The crystal children will circulate this energy out into the world, bringing it into the consciousness and experience of all people of goodwill. This will make it universally accessible in a way that was not possible in the vibrational conditions of 2,000 years ago. What is so encouraging about that? I don't think we realize at times just how much the vibration on Earth has risen, because, we do see a lot of density played out, but it gets exaggerated. The focus is all on the density because it's kind of designed to anchor us down, whereas in reality, we are actually elevating our consciousness. So I do think that, and we know that to be true, because that's how the indigo children, that's how the crystal children, that's how the rainbow children are able to come to the planet now, because the vibrational conditions are right now, which they weren't before. And even going back into the 1940s when the wars broke out, then the conditions were once again, the vibration dropped, and we had to wait until we got back into the 1960s and 70s in particular, when that process could begin. So I think that, there's so much to look forward to in this. We had, again, that three-step process, the focusing, which took place in Atlantis, the anchoring, which took place with Jeshua, Mary Magdalene, the Essenes, the Kalu, who were working on this, and ultimately the Melchizedeks as well, who were kind of there working with the Kalu, and so therefore indirectly with the Essenes. So, and then the circulating, which takes place through the crystal children, who are there to elevate consciousness here, and to be the teachers for us so that we can elevate our consciousness as well. The other thing I wanted to mention to you as well about Joseph of Arimathea, you can imagine how emotionally draining it was for so many people, but not just emotionally draining, because, people really did, suffer because of that. And some even lost their lives because of the energy they had to put into creating this point of time of energy to support Yeshua, who was on the cross. So, but Joseph of Arimathea fled to England after the crucifixion because he was being sought out. And basically the fact that if he'd have been hanging around the Essene community, then they would have all they'd have met a worse fate very quickly. So he had to get out of the way. And it always interested me about why the interest in England to that degree. I know that he was a merchant. I know that they used to use the tin, and that's why he became one of the wealthiest men in the world with one of the biggest fleets, because tin was the component that you were mixed with copper to make bronze, which was really hugely in demand around the world, particularly in Roman times, and that was important to them. And there's something, right? And I've mentioned this before. There is an account in this book here, which was referenced by Dolores Cannon. This book, which first came out in 1961, and the final edition, which this one is, was like about 1972. This one talks about the move of Joseph of Arimathea and Mary, mother of Jesus, and everybody ending up in Avalon, as was at the time, which is Glastonbury as is now. In fact, if you look at the cover there, you see a picture of Glastonbury Abbey as you would see it today, which is just, a shadow of what it was. But that's the big building in the background. The small building in the foreground was what was qualified as the original church, Christian church, except it wasn't intended as a church. It was a healing room. And it was interesting because if you listen to what follows through in the chapters that follows this in the book, they were saying they were never intended to be churches. It was not, you don't need churches. So it wasn't Joseph of Arimathea's way. It wasn't the disciples' way, but to create churches. That wasn't the original teaching. Because that puts a middleman effectively between you and God, and you don't need that. So anyway, I digress. Now, it was explained in that book that Joseph of Arimathea, Mary Magdalene, Mary, mother of Jesus, and a whole crew of others, disciples and people around Yeshua, were set out into the ocean in a boat without without oars, without rudder, without sails, and just left adrift so that they would die. And then the boat gets carried on a current and lands on the on the coastline at Gaul. Now, during this regression into Joseph Arimathea's personality, going back to that time, Joanne specifically asked that question: how did you get to the coast of England? He said, well, I had one of my ships pick me up, and I didn't hang around. I got on the ship and I went back to England. And so then she asked about this question about, there was this story that the boat had actually, been this rudderless boat and had been towed out into the ocean kind of thing. And he laughed and he said, what you got to realize is that that was actually a false trail that was laid. That story was told and it was agreed with the Romans, okay? Because they needed the people in the Holy Land to believe that, because then they would stop going after them. And the Romans were only interested in maintaining the tin trade, so they didn't want anything to happen to Joseph of Arimathea. So they were happy to accept that story. So that story ended up sat in the Vatican as being the way that things were. And of course, George Jowett, who wrote the book, did his research at the Vatican and found that. So he actually replicated that story. So the other reason why Joseph of Arimathea ended there, not going back there, was because his mother, Joseph's mother, was actually from that part of the world. She was a Celt. She was like a Celtic princess who married Joseph of Arimathea's father, who actually began the trading business going back into that earlier generation. And in fact, she was apparently a very, very holy person. And she was the mother of Mary, the mother of Jesus. So, it's an amazing story once you start to get into this. And it's all about the fact that Joseph of Arimathea had family there. He had family, as well as a lot of Druidic friends and Celts and the like. So that was the reason why the south of England there was so important to this story. And the last thing I want to mention here really focuses in on focused prayer and the power of meditation, because that's what this comes down to. This 150 years of setting up this power grid to feed Yeshua the power that he needed after he'd done his work with Mary Magdalene, so that he was energetically, absolutely, in this Christos phase where he could actually do this, but he needed the assistance from the energy lines and from all the people meditating. And it worked, okay? As Alariel said, that great vertical shaft of this energy down into the earth happened. But it was a struggle because there were the dark forces that were trying to stop them from getting there. And as you can hear from Daniel's words, he hadn't realized just how much opposition there was going to be. So it really took it out of them to a point where a couple of them actually died. Now, I had an interesting conversation with a gentleman called Jim Bennett, who is an American, actually, as it happens originally, but he's been over here for, I don't know how many, at least 50 years, because 50 years, he's had 50 years as a Wicca priest. And he is an amazing guy. And one of the things he was telling me, which was purely coincidental that he mentioned this, but during the Second World War, the UK was about to be invaded by Hitler and the armies because they'd reached the coast of France. It was expected they would be coming over. England was preparing themselves for that. But apparently, there were a lot of people who were very much on the right wavelength, who got together in the New Forest of England, which I know that part of the world very well. It's a beautiful part of the world. Pam Gregory lives there. During the Second World War, they got together to meditate to actually prevent the invasion by Germany into England. And it was so intense. They had to work at it so hard that some people actually died during this process because it was so draining to them. The same way as the Essenes found when they were feeding that energy to Yeshua. So how amazing is that? But it just shows the power that we have, that when we align our energies and come together in focused meditation, focused prayer, whatever you want to call it, it's amazing what you can achieve. So, with that said, this is all about meditation and prayer. And at that point, I want to bring Jolie back in for her thoughts.
Of course, meditation and prayer, you know how I feel about that. And let's not let, let me be a lesson to everyone to meditate while you are in a state of goodness and your life is working. You don't want the spirit to have to force you into meditating and into focused prayer, right? By making something happen in your life that brings you to that. Let's just go there naturally, right? Focused prayer is something that can be done anywhere while you're driving instead of moving into a frustrated state like we do. We are kind of programmed to hate traffic. But the thing is, it's such a beautiful thing. We have this highway that gets us to and from where we want to go, and everybody's able to use it. It's free. We start complaining. Now we have to pay for a lane, and it just gets complicated. But if you move with love and you focus and you pray towards positive what you want around the and other people, it moves faster. Your life gets in the fast lane. Your life begins to go quantum. But what's the rub? We have to sit in that energy on a regular basis. That's why I say moment to moment. So we talk about meditation and we think we have to, oh, I need to get in my meditation room and sit on my pillow and and no. All you have to do is take 5 minutes and regroup. It means breathing. It means bringing your awareness to your chest. It could take a moment, ground your energy, pull your aura in, higher self above you. It can mean opening your heart and seeing love onto that person, onto that situation. And it could very well be just loving yourself, hugging yourself, making sure you're flossing. you know, that's a meditation in and of itself, is doing the things that you don't necessarily want to do. So turn that into something that is ritualistic in the way in which it's a practice that adds to you resonating at a higher frequency and vibration. Why? Because when I'm brushing my teeth, I'm sending love to my mother. I'm sending love to my teeth, my body. I'm seeing it go out into the universe. How long did that take? 30 seconds, 2 minutes, brushing your teeth. So it becomes something to where you don't have to get into this position and put on your robe. It's an action that's with you all day, every day. And what does it do? It raises your frequency and vibration. And it also creates a nice energy in the room for you and everyone else, because what you're doing is you're raising the vibration in that room, and then people kind of have to match it or they fall away. So that's the beauty of Mr. Bennett and his drilling down and recognizing that through meditation, and then giving us an example of how powerful it is, because you talked about how during World War II there was a situation that has come to the surface,
Mm, absolutely. It is
right?
amazing because I hadn't even mentioned anything about what we were covering this Sunday with Jim, and he just told me that story. I thought, wow,
Yeah,
that is amazing because that is
yeah,
exactly what I'd just been editing for this Sunday's show. It just shows. And I said to him as well, because we talked again about the fact that there's a grid for light workers out there where we
yeah,
make connections and automatically it's just like a close connection. It's not just, oh, I never met you before. I don't know much about you. A
yeah.
little bit, stand off, just trying to work it out. But no, there's just an openness about it immediately. And that was kind of the conversation I had with Jim. It was really fun. So yeah, we're definitely going to have to tap into Jim's knowledge a little bit more of these next few months as well, I feel. But anyway, everything you said, Jolie, to me, I thought was wonderful there, and I
Thank you,
totally
Sean.
concur with you with it as
Yeah,
well because
it's
it elevates your own frequency all the time.
yeah, yeah. It's just about remembering to do it, because we're so much. That's a part of also regulating our nervous system. I want to put this on the table for people. Give yourself enough time to do what you need to do before you need to show up for other people. Oftentimes, we don't want to show up, right? So we wait till the last minute to do what we need to do sometimes. And it's not about the situation, the person where you need to show up. It's about you taking care of you. So I just ask people to just remember, when you get fast, take a breath and slow down. Regulate your nervous system by slowing down and taking your time to breathe and to move through your whatever it is you have to do with intention and consciousness, because I know for me, through my day, a lot of it is road and I'm running through it very fast, and I'm running into things, I'm dropping things, I'm forgetting things. This is showing you, hey, you need to sit down, take a breath, and regulate your nervous system.
Hmm. Well,
important.
what do you think? Regulating our nervous system through the gift of meditation in a few
Yes.
moments? Yeah.
Yes. Let's do
Okay.
it.